Morning guys, happy Boxing Day. Hope you had all had a good day yesterday. Just about to sit down and have my breakfast. I've got, I don't know how well you can see that, I've got, nearly fell off the edge there, I've got about 242 grams of fruit for breakfast, 242 grams of carbs in fruit form for breakfast. So I've got 6 kiwis, 2 bananas, about 200 grams of grapes, about 119 grams of dates, and about 190 grams of apples, so 2 apples basically, so about 242 grams of carbs. And let's see, so it's only about this 242 grams of carbs here, only about 126 grams need insulin, because you need to subtract the fructose and the fibre, which don't need insulin. So today's video, thought I'd talk about the hardest thing about being a vegan. And well, I suppose there's more than one thing possibly, but the hardest thing I found since going vegan is this situational inconvenience. If you want to go vegan either because you don't want heart disease or cancer, could be you care about the animals and you don't want to be part of their suffering anymore, you want to be part of the solution. Could be that you care about the environment, you don't want to see habitats being destroyed, mass extinction events. Could be you're sick and tired of 17,000 children dying every single day because we choose to give grain that they could eat instead to animals, so that we can then kill and eat the animals and give ourselves heart disease and cancer. So whatever the reason, you go vegan, and one of the hardest things you'll find for any of you who are watching this who are wanting to go vegan or are currently in the process of going vegan is situational inconvenience. So when you go vegan, straight away your options, not going to lie to you, they do become restricted. So when you're a non-vegan and just a normal meat eater, your options are unlimited. Whatever you see you can pretty much eat. There aren't any restrictions on you. When you become vegan, because you realise that your health is more important to you, straight away it becomes whole food, plant-based, no animal products, no meat, fish, chicken, eggs, milk or dairy. And ideally, veganism isn't just about that, it's also about health. So you'll cut out a lot of the processed junk food and focus on whole foods. So when you go to the supermarket or the store or the restaurant, wherever you go in, your options will be limited relative to what they were previously. But there are a number of things you can do to mitigate this. So the danger is that when you go vegan, if you don't sort of plan ahead, what will happen is you'll be sort of caught out, and there'll be situations where you run out of food, you struggle to find food, you struggle to find ripe fruit to eat, and you're in this situation, what do I eat? And the danger is you go back to animal products. So thankfully that's never happened to me. I've never been in a situation, I think, since I've gone vegan where I've had to eat animal products. I think there might have been, so I went vegan 9th of November 2014, and I think possibly there might have been one situation where I might have had to eat a Kit Kat, possibly to eat to stop low blood sugars, because I was having hypoglycemic attack. I didn't have anything to hand. That might have been the only one time where I've had to eat something that was non-vegan, but since then everything I've eaten has been vegan, with the exception of a few flies when I've been cycling. So how do you prevent this situation where you've got no food and you then end up eating animal products or junk food? Well, with a vegan diet, quite simply, you need to plan ahead. I know that might sound like a bit of a pain in the backside to those of you who are watching this, but it's actually quite easy. As time goes on, you will get used to it, and what will happen is you'll learn to plan ahead. So let's look at this. So let's say you go to do your shopping. The prompt for you to go shopping to buy food should never be, I've run out of food. The prompt for you to go shopping for food should be looking at what food you have and saying, I've got enough food to last me about 2 or 3 days here, I'm going to go to the shops now. So the reason why is, let's say if you're either a raw vegan or fruitarian, or you're someone who eats raw till 4, mainly fruit, bananas are probably going to be the staple of that. So for me, bananas are pretty much a staple of my diet. So I have about 7 bananas each day on average, minimum. And with bananas, a lot of the time they're picked too early, they're a bit too green when you go into the supermarket. There's not going to be enough sugar in them, they're not going to really satisfy you, and sometimes they might not have any in stock. Likewise, certain foods are only in season certain times of the year, so I prefer the Israeli medjool dates. The medjool dates are the best variety out there in my personal opinion, and in addition the ones grown in Israel are the best in the world. They're better than the Peruvian ones that you can get, and so sometimes they're not always available. So basically, rather than ever be in a situation where you allow yourself to be caught out and you don't have enough food, you always want to go about 2 to 3 days before you think you're going to run out of food, and that way you can go, you can see what they have or they don't have, and while you're there, you can pick different foods out ahead of time, and so it could be that you get there and you see what, these bananas, they're not actually ripe, but if I buy them now, give it about 2 or 3 days, they'll be ready for when I've run out of some food. So I think that's the first thing, guys, is to always go to the supermarket about 2 or 3 days before you're going to run out of food, especially if your diet is based mainly upon fruit, or you eat Rotel-4 or fruitarian diet. I find with vegetables, you don't have that big a problem. With vegetables, there isn't really, a ripening process. You go to the supermarket, they're always going to be there. You can get potatoes year round, broccoli year round, and there's such a a variety of greens. I don't really struggle with that. But I always find it sometimes to always go, at least, let's say, a day beforehand to get my vegetables, so there's not a situation where the next day at work or home, sorry, that I'm caught out and I don't have anything to make that evening for my evening meal or for work the next day. And the next thing, guys, to try and for this situation where because of situational inconvenience you don't have enough food to eat, is always if you're not a fruitarian or raw food person, always have lots of rice to hand. So rice is perfect, whether it's white or brown. Brown is healthy because it has slightly more zinc in it. Don't worry about what eating white rice. Is perfectly healthy. 2 billion Asians eat it every single day, and you know what, they're pretty healthy. When you see their health decline, it's not because of white rice, it's because of dead animals and dairy products getting added into their diet. So always have some rice to hand, at home. Always have some, tinned, red kidney beans or lima beans. You could have red lentils to hand. You could have oats. You could have pasta. So basically, you don't just have to have fruit and vegetables which perishable. You can have these other foods which last a lot longer, and it's basically just trying to have backup plan upon backup plan upon backup plans, multiple sort of redundancies within your system, so that if something goes wrong, so let's say you have a situation where you haven't gone 2 or 3 days beforehand to the supermarket, you go there on the day that you've ran out, they don't have any ripe bananas, they don't actually have much fruit at all, and you're kind of stuck. Well, as a backup plan, you can then have rice. So on potatoes, veg, food that you've already got at home. So I always have lots of tinned sweet corn, tinned lima beans, lots of rice, quinoa, couscous. I have some vegan soups. So if I was ever in a situation where, let's say, I didn't have enough fruit to eat, I could resort to that. I could have that as my backup plan, and that's the main thing that I'm trying to sort of get through to you guys, is to always sort of plan ahead. I know it sounds like it's painful, but it isn't. Like, when you get into the habit of it, it is quite easy to do. So I go to the supermarket at least twice a week now instead of say once a week, and works quite well, because I'm only going to one section, which is where all the fruit and vegetables are pretty much, and so I'm in and out like that. It's so quick for me to do, so it isn't that big an inconvenience when you get into it and you get used to it. So always make sure you have a backup plan. You never want to be caught out. You never want to be in a situation where, oh, what do I eat? Oh, I'm going to eat McDonald's or something. You always want to have food at home, something that you can cook or prepare. Always have some fruit to hand in case. And I hope that was useful. I hope that makes sense. And so what do you have as a backup plan? You know, do you have you know, certain foods that you'll have in a, you know, for emergency situations where you can't get hold of fruit, where you can't get hold of veg? There's certain places that you go to, you know, because you can always get what you need. You know, how do you plan ahead? Do you go a few days beforehand like I do? So I hope this was useful. Remember, never be caught out with situational inconvenience. Always plan ahead, you know, a day or two. In addition to that, always make sure you have a backup plan. You've always got some, you know, rice or tinned sweet corn, tinned lima beans, so that you can put together something that's quick and healthy for those emergency situations, so you don't have to eat the dead animal products and processed junk food. Hope that was useful, guys. Please put your comments, questions, criticisms below. Always let me know what new videos you want to see from me. Until next time, God bless, and I'll see you soon. About 119 grams of dates and about 190 grams of apples, so 2 apples basically, so about 242 grams of carbs. And let's see, so it's only about, fell off the edge there, I've got about 242 grams of fruit for breakfast, sorry, 242 grams of carbs in fruit form for breakfast. So I've got 6 kiwis, 2 bananas, about 200 grams of grapes. There's 242 grams of carbs here. Only about 126 grams need insulin, because you need to subtract the fructose and the fibre, which don't need insulin. So today's video, thought I'd talk about the hardest thing about... Morning guys, happy Boxing Day. Hope you had all had a good day yesterday. Just about to sit down and have my breakfast. I've got, I don't know how well you can see that, I've got, being a vegan, and well, I suppose there's more than one thing possibly, but the hardest thing I found since going vegan is this situational inconvenience. If you want to go vegan,